first? We're on, okay. I'm going to call the monthly meeting of the Town Council of Westville to order. I'm going to begin with acknowledging that this month, February, has been declared African Heritage Month, and we certainly celebrate that here in Westville. And we acknowledge the contributions, legacies, and the histories of the African Nova Scotia people who have been here for over 400 years. We also want to acknowledge that we are meeting in Mi'kmaq, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people, as we work towards reconciliation. Roll call. Before I do that, excuse me, just one more thing I wanted to mention. As most people are aware, that today happens to be the sad anniversary of the third anniversary of the beginning of the Ukrainian war, with Russia invading Ukraine exactly 3 years ago today. An unprovoked attack, despite what the president to the south of us may say. Russia is certainly the aggressor, and we wish to keep the Ukrainian people in our minds and prayers in these days ahead, and hope for a reconciliation and end to that dreadful conflict going on in Ukraine. And we know that there are many Ukrainians amongst us in Pictou County who have fled that conflict over the past 3 years, and we certainly want to support them in any way that we possibly can as a community. With that, I'll call for a roll call. To my right, Councillor McGregor, CAO Weirs. To my left, Councillor Fraser, Deputy Mayor McKinnon, and myself, Mayor Lenny White. Declaration of the conflict of interest. Anyone having a conflict of interest? Hearing none, move on to the addition, deletions, and approval of the tentative agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Ready for the question?
Question.
Questions called. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried. Before we move on again, I apologize. I should have mentioned that Councillor Dunn is unable to be here this evening. She's stuck in transit somewhere, coming from one of those warmer climates, I assume. So we wish her a speedy travel. Hopefully she'll make it home tonight before an ungodly hour. Approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting of January 27th.
I'll move to approve the council minutes of January 25.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Ready for the question?
Question.
Questions called. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Moving on then to our reports for the month. First, general government. First one being my report. I apologize to council for getting it out late this week, or this month, I should say. I just want to highlight the fact that I mentioned in my report that the month of February showed continued development in the town, signs of continued development in the town. And I want to make people aware that change is coming, as I've been saying now for the last couple of years. But I think the change that is coming is going to be more evident in the next few months as spring approaches. We are going to see the start of several housing construction sites throughout town. And probably, I say, and I believe this to be true, at a level that we haven't experienced in Westville in decades, for many, many years. So I just want to make people aware of that, because change is a great thing. These are all positive changes, but we know that change affects people in certain ways, and perhaps they were not used to that type of activity in town. So I just want people to be aware that, look for it. It's going to be happening between the early spring and the fall season in particular. And I highlight a few of them there that I won't get into right now. They're in my report, specific projects that we know are coming online in the very near future, within the next few months. What I did not mention in my report, I think, is the fact that we did celebrate Flag Day on February the 15th. It was the 60th anniversary of our Canadian maple leaf flag being unveiled. I'm old enough to remember when that happened, by the way, and I remember all the excitement leading up to it, and trying to choose the correct flag, and the debates that went on in Parliament. And I'm very thankful that we arrived at the flag we have. I think it was the right choice, and still happens, still continues to be. We did raise through Dave Avery at the Military Museum, and the caretaker of the Peace Tower flag that we were honored to receive a few years back was flown on February the 15th. And I'm also delighted to have seen around town on February the 15th, people showing their pride in our country and displaying the Canadian flag and prominently throughout the town. So that was much appreciated. Also, I didn't mention in my report the Winter Jamboree that took place through our recreation and coordinators' efforts, and a very successful Winter Jamboree was held last week ago, Saturday, I believe, on the 15th. Yeah. So those two things, in addition to what I had in my written report. Okay, move on then to Deputy Mayor McKinnon.
All right, good evening, everybody. For my report, I attended all committee meetings, answered some emails from citizens. Police Commission this month, I was pleased to see they're addressing some speeding concerns of people in Westville, some citizens that were quite concerned about that, and efforts are being made there. So upcoming, the fire department is Wednesday this week for me. Northumberland is tomorrow. I attended a Walter Duggan SAC committee meeting, and they're doing a great wellness activity with their students. Westville's Winter Jamboree was a success. Westville's team that was entered in the coldest night of the year did an excellent job just this weekend. We had, for council, we had an excellent presentation from some DAL students that are doing some remarkable work for our town, which is to be commemorated and thank you. Appreciated is the word I'm looking for. I was pleased to see so many Canadian flags flying through the town of Westville on Flag Day. And, oh, just a side note, I know February has been a very, very cold month, and we appreciated today's warm weather of -1. As I drove to council tonight, I saw 2 kids in Westville on scooters on the sidewalk. So it was a spring day for the kids in Westville. You know your Canadian win. So
Yeah.
that is my report for the month.
One of them had rollerblades on.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was surprised as
Yeah,
well.
I was like, it is spring, -1, February.
Thank you, Deputy
Thank
Mayor.
you.
Councillor Fraser.
Oh, me next. Yes, Helen is in the sun.
Yeah.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Good evening. I also attended committee meetings and answered some concerns from citizens. I was the Westville representative at the African Heritage Month proclamation ceremony. It was fantastic. They had some great entertainment, some great speakers, and it was nice to be part of that. I don't remember if the code of conduct training was after last meeting or not, but we did participate in that. Also participated in the Dalhousie University intern presentation on the town of Westville, which is some great work coming from the interns that are participating. There was a joint police commission council meeting that was held, and got some upcoming stuff this month as well. Busy month ahead.
Thank you, Council, and thank you for attending the African
Yeah, it was-
Heritage
it was lovely,
launch that I
yeah.
was unable to attend on behalf of Westville.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Councillor McGregor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I too attended the PAC meeting with the Dal students, and it was a really informative and excellent presentation, and can't wait to see the finished product with that. Also attended the Police Commission meeting, where we actually had a joint meeting with the town of Stellarton Police Commission, because we had some training from the Department of Justice at the Police Commission this past month, which was really interesting to hear some of the upcoming things that are coming down the pipe there with the Department of Justice. There was no Glenhaven board meeting yet. As I said last month, we had one scheduled. Unfortunately, they had that major flood there, and they still haven't had a board meeting since that flood has taken place. They do continue to provide myself and the CAO and other parties involved with updates on a regular basis there. So things are still moving through the kind of the cleanup, remediation, and kind of repair phase there as well. There was no Construction 144 flight engineers meeting. It was canceled due to the weather, and there is one for this month. It's this Thursday, so that'll be reported on the next committee meeting. I just want to make a note. There was, I believe it was the night of the Police Commission, there was a structure fire just up the street here on Queen Street in Victoria. And I was met coming up the road on Cowan Street by a tanker truck, or a truck from Alma coming down Cowan Street. So I just wanted to acknowledge both Alma and Stellarton who responded to that fire as part of the mutual aid. It was nice to see. It was unfortunate that there was a fire, but nice to see the level of cooperation. And of course, thanks to our folks here in Westville for being able to get there. They didn't really have all that far to go, but it was a cold night and there was lots of ice on the road afterwards, and Public Works helped kind of tidy that up. So, and that's my report.
Thank you very much, Councillor. CIO Weirs.
Yeah, my apologies for not having a written report, but I'll do a very short verbal report. February is a weird month, right? Short statutory holiday. I took some time off to do some family stuff, so kind of put a bit of a crimp in my style in terms of reports. A couple of things that I think are important for everybody to hear about is water meter project. So we are north of 75% done. We are in the final stages. There are still a number of residents who have not either agreed to take or haven't registered, at least haven't registered for to get their water meter. And that's going to be problematic. Starting tomorrow, those residents will receive a notice on their door letting them know that unless they hurry up and make an appointment for the installation of a free new water meter, so no cost for the meter, no cost for the installation, they may be subject to having the water turned off. The issue is that we have a brand new meters, brand new software that is completely incompatible with the old meters, and so there is no way to generate a bill for and measure how much people are consuming. And so people are free to say they don't want a water meter. The consequence of that decision is that the water service will have to be turned off, and they'll have to get their water service in some other way. This is a UARB approved project. We've been talking about it since 2023, not 1923, 2023. You know, this is now, we're down to the short strokes. So as I said, north of 75% are done, and we need to finish that up so that we can start billing in real time. And so just a word to the wise, make your appointments. That's all you have to do. You don't have to have it in by the end of the month, but you have to have your appointment. And so heads up, if you don't do it, there could be consequences. If we turn it off because you haven't signed up, there will be a charge to turn it back on. So it's not a big charge, but it's another $60 that you could, you know, spend on 10 Starbucks coffees, right? So.
No, Tim Hortons coffee.
Or Tim Hortons coffees. Either, well, Tim Hortons coffees, you probably get 20 Tim Hortons coffees. You only get 6 or 10 Starbucks coffees. The other thing I wanted to mention was that we're hoping to do test water well drilling in either the first or second full weeks of March. So we're just lining up the final bits, hoping to do that. The other thing is Megan's Place. Last week we got $125,000 from the federal government towards Megan's Place. So very pleased about that. It's a little bit more than what I had expected. And the other good news was that we got notice that the equipment or the bits and pieces that we have to put together to make the playground is going to be delivered a month early, which is shocking to me in these days where logistics are always a challenge. So looking forward to that. So once the snow melts, we can get busy with taking down the old one and putting up the new one. So that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, CEO Weirs. Yeah, just on the water meters again, can't emphasize this enough. I know that perhaps other members of council have received calls or or emails or whatever. I know I have with regard to that. I mean, the simple fact is, the best way to put it is, the CEO has already said, if you don't have the new meter, you will not be able to get water from the town of Westville. It's no different, in my mind, it's the same as if you move into a new home in Westville, build a new home, move into an existing home, you have to have your water meter connected, and if you want to get water from the town. If you choose not to, as you've said, you have to find your water some other way. It's as simple as that. And emphasize again that it is a URB approved project, that we've gone through all the necessary steps to do. So I employ people to please, please, please make that appointment, get on board, and get the installation done in a timely fashion. I can't put it any clearer than that.
If I just might add one other thing, there are some, I've had a few calls from people who are concerned about the potential health impacts of radio waves that are used for these new meters. So both the governments of Canada and the United States have approved these meters for use within residences. They are known to be compliant with, so you could, they don't interfere with pacemakers. It's another issue. If you use a cell phone, these meters produce about 1/100th of the amount of radio waves in like a 20-minute period. So if you're on your phone for 20 minutes, you get a certain amount of radio waves. If you're on in that same 20-minute period, these water meters generate about 1/100th of the amount of radio waves. We have a sheet at the front counter downstairs that kind of goes through all of this sort of stuff. Those meters are off 99% of the time, so they turn on, and there's a burst of information that is sent out, and then they turn off, and so they do that on and off throughout the day, but they end up being off 99% of the time, so not generating radio waves 99% of the time. So they are way safer than your cell phone, and most of us have cell phones that we hold to our ears, to our heads, multiple times a day. So it's a very, inconsequential, I guess, exposure to radio waves. So I just encourage people not to buy into concerns about the fact that they're generating radio waves. And as I said, we've got a fact sheet that is available at the front counter. Happy to email it out. If you want to call in, we can email it out to you as well. But to put your mind at ease about the level of radio wave interference that you'll be experiencing with these things.
Thank you very much. We should also add that we did hold public information sessions prior to rolling this project out, and advertised it extensively, and asked people who had concerns or questions to come to that evening, and we did address those. So we gave that opportunity before even embarking on the project. But I think that's enough. We don't want to beat it to death, so we just want it to get concluded.
The only comment I'll make is very convenient.
Yeah.
They're there when they said they were going to be there at my place. They were in and out in a little more than 5, but less than 10 minutes, and they were gone. And I understand they also have the ability to book evening appointments. Like, they're very flexible too. Like, that's
Yeah,
the
I
one thing
agree,
wanna say.
Councillor McGregor. They were very flexible. They were came in times when you were there or not there. The gentleman actually locked himself in my basement while he was doing mine, and he was very pleasant when I let him out. I mean, it was and it's
How long
true.
did you keep them there?
Oh, all of a sudden we just heard screaming, and so we went and saved him. But he was still very friendly, and the job seems to have been done well, even though he was held hostage in my basement. Yes.
No, I think think we've all had those good experiences with the installation. I can speak to mine as well. It was excellent, and mine was behind a little, a door that hides it in the bathroom downstairs, and it didn't fit properly the first time, and they took the time to take it off and do it again and turn it so that the door fit properly. And by the way, the door wasn't fitting properly with the old meter, so I was quite used to it. So, that's just a
No,
small
very good
example of
experience.
what they will do. And so, no fears with them coming into your home to do the installation, that's for sure. And the water, testing water wells, we're all waiting with bated breath to get the drills in the ground to see what we find as far as water source goes. We all know that because of the development that I was talking about earlier and more development to come, we need more water. We acknowledge that, we know that, and kudos to our CAO for being proactive and making that happen to go out and find more source of water for us. Megan's Place, what can I say about Megan's Place that hasn't been said, but other than the fact that terribly exciting that we finally got the word from the federal government, and it was more than what we actually expected. That's always a good thing. So kudos to Sean Fraser on his way out the door. Sean, we appreciate, we know the piece you had to play in that. $125,000 goes a long way to completing the project for us. And with the insight being having an official opening on July the 31st, which will be the sad anniversary of Megan's passing. That's what we're aiming for, and I think we'll make it happen. Okay, moving on then to Protective Services, Fire Department and Dog Control. Reports were circulated. Accept the motion.
I'll move to accept the Protective Services, Fire Department, and Dog Control reports as attached.
Oh, I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Ready for the question?
Question.
Question call. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed,
Just
nay.
on that, I
Motion's
think probably,
carried.
just to give an update why there's no police report. We're gonna do two, at the next police commission meeting. Because of the training, there was just a little bit of a hiccup with the timing. So we did have the police commission meeting, we didn't have the chief's report. But we will have the chief's report reviewed at the next one, so there'll be two for next one, just for anybody that was wondering why there's no police report this month.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
Recreation, Culture, and Leisure Services, Recreation Coordinator's report.
I will move to accept the report as a recreation report as attached.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Ready for the question?
Question.
Questions called. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried. Once again, a very extensive report and shows the level of activity that's going on in town around recreation. It's amazing, really, what goes on a daily basis here, particularly at our gymnasium. That facility is a gold mine. I think it's I don't think that people realize the valuable asset that is to have that in our town and in our civic building. I mean, it's fantastic. Moving on then to Transportation and Environmental Health Services.
I'll move to accept the Transportation and Environmental Health Services, including the Water Report, Public Works Report, Solid Waste Report, and Environmental Development. Fire inspection, oh no, sorry, I kept going, my bad. Back it up to Solid Waste Report.
Very good.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Ready for the question?
Question.
Questions called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion's carried. Environmental Development. Here you go, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, yeah, now. I'll move to approve the Environmental Development, Fire Inspection, and Planning Development Report as attached.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Ready for the question?
Question.
Questions called. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Once again, highlight the Planning and Development Report. If you want to know what's going on in town development-wise, don't take my word for it. Get a copy of the Planning and Development Report, which is very extensive, and I don't know whether it's 6 pages this month, I think, around that.
Yep.
So lots of information in there to give citizens an idea as to what's going on, and it's for public consumption. You can certainly ask for it and receive a copy of that anytime you wish.
I would just say, Mr. Mayor, that, I don't know if we've said this before, but in 2024, 20 new dwellings, just new dwellings in this town in 2024, which is more new dwellings in a year than in probably the previous decade. So it's, we're on the cusp of some change, and most of it isn't really visible yet, because they're onesies and twosies, but those
Big stuff's
onesies and
coming.
twosies are important. And infill development is, you know, is important because what it does is it sets up the possibility, not the assurance, but the possibility of downstream council perhaps being able to roll back tax rates at some point, right? So the more people we get on each meter or each kilometer of roads and water lines and sewer lines, it makes it possible to do that sort of thing. And we have lots, right? We have almost 50 kilometers of roads in this town. And if we can squeeze some more people on, that will make it easier and better for everyone.
Thank you for that. Excellent point. So moving on then to correspondence. Letters related to letter from Municipal Affairs. Yes, so just so people are aware, the Minister of Municipal Affairs sent a letter out that went to all mayors and wardens in the province, basically asking for support, either by letter or by press release, for particularly the matter of resource development, that most people are probably aware that the province, the Premier and the current government have announced that they want to undertake in the province, ramping up mineral resource development that hasn't existed for some number of years. As a result of that letter, we also received, or I received and council, letters from some people concerned about that approach and asking us to refrain from endorsing that position, particularly one from the Friends of the Northumberland Strait. And I think there was one other one that I can't remember.
It's a lady from River John sent a letter.
Yes, just a personal, yeah, that's right, someone, a lady from River John, whose name escapes me, but Barb Harris, correct. In addition to that, we received an email from the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities, from President Pam Mood. And basically what that letter says is that the NSFM, on behalf of all municipal units in the province, are looking at the request from the minister and seeking more information on it, some detail. And so it's my suggestion to council members that we simply stand aside currently, do not make any comment or endorsement or not with regard to the minister's request, and wait until the NSFM have completed their research and information gathering. And I'm sure what will happen is that the NSFM, that speaks for all municipalities, all 50 municipalities in the province, will suggest a wording or a position for municipalities to consider, and then we can deal with it at that time. So it's an unusual thing. I tell you, since I've been mayor and since I've been on council, I don't recall a minister reaching out to municipal councils and asking for our endorsement of a particular policy or plan that they wish to pursue. So it is a bit unusual, and it caught everyone a little bit off guard, I believe. So I know that one of the local MLAs invited myself and the CAO to his office to speak about this a few weeks back, I should say, and we did so, and that's the extent of what we've been involved in to this point in time. So I think that's where that stands. If council's good with that, we'll wait until we see what comes back from the NSFM and proceed accordingly, I would say.
There's nothing to decide on right now.
This is as you can appreciate, this is a very polarizing matter.
Yeah.
And there's no gray area in this. People are either totally 100% for it or totally 100% against it. And so it's not something I don't think that we want to enter into currently, but at some point in time we will, so we'll have a say as to our opinion. So I think that should cover that letter, I believe. or letters, I should say.
There's a few, yeah.
We also had a letter from the Industrial Inquiry Commission reviewing Canada Post and looking for input. I know that CAO Weirs, I don't know that we've responded or done anything.
We have
particular.
not. I wanted to wait for the discussion here. You know, we have a post office, so we have an interest. Residents get postal service, and, you know, happy to receive input from residents if they want to drop in, you know,
Yeah.
have their say. Would be happy to include their comments or their whatever in a municipal response to this letter.
Right. So I think we leave it at that. I don't know that, you know, as you say, we certainly have a post office here in town that we appreciate having, and not only that, it's a tenant of the town. The town owns the building, and so it's our number one tenant in that particular building currently. And, you know, they're looking at various components of the postal service and where it goes from, and I think it all springs from, obviously, from the latest labor disruption and restart of the service to look at, as they should be doing, to look at strategic planning and where the post office where the post office goes as far as an entity in the country, basically, right? There's a lot to absorb in what came to us, and I don't think that we necessarily have to come up with a recommendation or input this evening. And we leave it to those that have a burning desire to comment, as the CAO said, to come to the office and make their feelings known. And we can give them the information that came from the commission as well. Christian, correct? And I didn't even introduce our recording secretary tonight. Shame on me. Christian Reed down at the end, our recording secretary. See Christian at the office. She'll look after you and give you the information you need. Okay, so what was the other one? Okay, so we had a letter also from the Northumberland Regional High School hockey team, boys hockey team, and, you know, kudos to them and kudos to the town of Westville and our arena, because they're going to be hosting the provincial high school championships, the 2025 championships from March the 21st to March the 23rd. So it's a great event, and I wish they had been hosting it like 2 years ago, because my grandson was playing for a team from the valley. I would have been here. It would have been a lot easier. But in any event, that's a good tournament. Great hockey on the high school level. Just an amazing brand of hockey these days. Far better than when I was playing high school hockey, I can assure you. So they're looking for some sponsorship from the town, correct?
Correct. I know in the past, I believe we were a silver donator to tournaments. I'm thinking with a little bit of inflation maybe being, we were bronze. I would like to be silver. I think it would be good for our name recognition in the program, but also the town of Westville supporting the tournament sponsorship banner and throughout the tournament where it's happening here in Westville with our local high school.
So what amount are you suggesting?
I'm
Deputy Mayor?
suggesting 150.
150.
Yeah,
We did 100 in the past.
it's usually 100, yeah.
It's inflation.
This is provincial tournament too, like.
That's right.
We get
It's
the
bigger.
We get the typical ask of, you know, oh my goodness, the Danny Dorrington, as
Yes.
well as usually
Yes.
the other one, the big Bantam Memorial Tournament. And then the provincials don't come around very often to yeah.
Yeah, I
This
think
one's-
there'll be a
honestly,
lot
this
of-
is
It's bigger.
A lot bigger, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with 150 if that's
Yeah.
council's decision.
I could entertain a motion to that degree from
Sure.
council, if they wish.
I will motion to approve a donation of $150 from the town of Westville to the Northumberland Regional High School boys hockey team in their upcoming tournament,
I'll second.
and wish them all the very best.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, raise the question.
Question.
Questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Yes, we wish them well and hope to be able to take in some of those games for sure.
I do believe it's at the Wellness Center, unfortunately, though. It is.
Oh,
It is.
Oh, it is.
at the Wellness
But that's
Center.
what-
Yes,
I
that's right.
misspoke.
Yep.
It's close enough. It's it's still all of our local
Our
talent.
players, yeah,
Still our
exactly.
kiddos.
Yeah, we have some Westville boys there, I'm sure.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so moving on then to the new and unfinished business, the Riverview Homes newsletter. Sorry. That was included in your package for information purposes primarily, just to show you what's going on at Riverview. Lots of activities always going on at that place, and of course, we're in that transition period from closing from the close of the residential center to individual homes, and as can be seen in the development report, 3 of those new homes are going to soon appear in Westville.
You can also see that by driving down Temperance Street.
Correct.
To see where they've cleared out some of the trees for those.
Right. So it's beginning, that project is beginning to take shape. Epilepsy Purple Day proclamation. So we did receive, as we do usually every year, a request to have a proclamation read and signed with regard to Epilepsy Day, Purple Day, and it's held on the 26th of March, so it'll be before our next meeting. So I will just take a moment to read that proclamation now, if council's okay with that. So whereas Purple Day is a global effort dedicated to promoting epilepsy awareness in countries around the world, and whereas epilepsy is one of the most common neurological conditions estimated to affect over 50 million people worldwide, and 42 people in Canada are diagnosed every day. And whereas 1 in 10 persons will have at least one seizure during his or her lifetime, and whereas the public is often unable to recognize common seizure types or how to respond with appropriate first aid, and whereas Purple Day will be celebrated on March 26 annually to increase understanding, reduce stigma, and improve the quality of life for people with epilepsy through the country and globally. Now, therefore, I, Lenny White, Mayor of the Town of Westville, do hereby proclaim March 26, 2025, Purple Day in Westville in an effort to raise awareness of epilepsy in Canada. I just signed it, by the way.
Perfect.
Okay, so
Proclamation. Right.
next one is the Disability Pride flag raising, and this just came, I think, within the last day, if I recall. Just to request information on the fact that that's going to be happening in, help me say, where's?
International Disability Pride Day?
July 2nd, I
Sorry,
think?
Yeah.
Yes,
so
Disability
July
Pride.
2nd at New Glasgow Square.
right. And we will certainly be participating in that, and I can assure people.
So giving us lots of notice.
Lots of notice, yes. Yeah, lots of notice on that. That's the Disability Pride flag, and we also had notice, by the way, on Pride Week, which will be coming in June, and I've responded to that to say we'd be participating. That'll come at a future meeting.
So they're looking to have one here as well, though.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So they have the big one in Glasgow and
Right.
then have one out front.
Yeah, you have a flag raising,
Yeah,
yeah.
we've done that in the past for that.
Correct,
Yeah,
correct.
that's right.
Yep. The personal pledge of reconciliation. I know that the council was interested in doing this. The previous council had done so. And basically, I think is it in the package? I believe it was it not, Kristen?
Last page.
Yes, there it is, yes. So, I'm going to read what it says, because we did, and what we did previously was each council member, if they so wished, signed, and no one's forced to do it, signed, and we put it left it in our council chambers just as a reminder. And in the spirit of reconciliation with the Indigenous peoples in Canada, I, Lenny White, solemnly pledge to learn more about Indigenous peoples and issues, continue to look forward to positive change for the situation with the Indigenous peoples, find ways to address the Indigenous related myths and misconceptions with my fellow Canadians, not perpetuate stereotypes in my conversations or observations, encourage others around me to keep reconciliation an ongoing effort. Read the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada's 94 calls to action. Read the 231 calls for justice in the final report of the National Inquiry into the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. Actively encourage ongoing support of National Indigenous Peoples Day every June 21st, and National Day for Truth and Reconciliation on September 30th for myself, my family, and my community. I certainly will be signing that. And you know, just worth noting that, you know, some of the things that are mentioned there, we do on a monthly basis. You know, as you probably observe, I acknowledge the territory acknowledgement and speak about reconciliation at every meeting that we have, and we'll continue to do that moving forward. If you haven't looked at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report, I encourage you to do that, as well as the final report on the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. And I'm just going to put a plug in for our library as well, downstairs. If you're interested in learning more about Indigenous peoples and some of the history and things that they've had to endure, there are many, many, many books at the library that speak to this. I took it upon myself to, over the Christmas period, to do that, find books that related to that and read as many as I could. And the library staff downstairs will more than willing help you find the appropriate books to read. And they are eye-opening, believe me, when you get firsthand reports from individuals that have knowledge
Lived it.
of these things.
Yeah.
So if everyone's good with that, I think Christian will enable us to sign those and get them framed similar to what we did in the past.
Great.
Okay?
Thank you.
Moving on then to growth and renewal for infrastructure development. CAO Wares.
Yes, I had to stop and think about what this one was all about for a moment. Just to let you know that you had approved Westville making an application to, the acronym for this program is GRID, Growth and Renewal for Infrastructure Development. We submitted application to cover a circulator in the reservoir, so that it'll drive it'll circulate the water in the reservoir, which should help us deal with some of the things that we help meet some of the criteria that we have to meet. Also for new chlorination equipment that will be installed down at Bear Brook, so where the water enters Westville. Sewage flow meters for the area around the Killam trailer park, and right at the bottom of Angel Street. So there's a number of sewage lines that run into the county's collector line, and so we're by putting those meters in, we'll be able to accurately determine our Westville's portion of the costs of the sewage treatment plant. And I think the final thing, there were four things, and the fourth thing would be leak detection equipment for staff here. So for as long as, well, forever, I guess, we've been hiring out leak detection, third party, and you know, by bringing in, spending a few tens of thousands of dollars on leak detection equipment, we'll be able to do a better job of finding those leaks fast and setting up a very regular regime of monitoring all around town, so that we can find those leaks and plug them, and therefore save residents money. So that was the GRID thing. So, and I think it was $66,000-ish. So we'll be able to, it covers half the cost of that equipment.
That was going to be my point. So that's a half of
That's a
what the
50-50
total project will
program,
cost,
that's
right?
right.
So we're contributing 50%.
Correct.
And the feds are,
The province.
sorry, province. Give credit where credit is due. Yeah, okay, so, and is that, those things are going to be happening
They will
timeframe-wise?
all, we'll be buying all that equipment between now and the end of March. to be installed fairly short, as soon as the weather permits, right?
right.
Not sending anybody into the reservoir until it's a little warmer.
And the flow meters, the sewer flow meters is something that's been on, our list of a need to do for many years now, and we're obligated to do it. The other municipalities are doing the same, and we're sort of late to the game as far as getting that installed a little bit. I know the CAO doesn't like me saying that, but.
Well,
but
no,
we're- we are.
We're late to the game with under 5% of our sewage.
Right.
So 95% of our sewage
Right.
has been metered and has been metered, essentially forever.
Yeah.
There's two places where, a little bit of sewage goes in and it isn't monitored.
Right.
And so now we'll be able to do it. But it's a very small proportion and on those we are late, there's no doubt.
Right.
But it's a very small proportion of the sewage that hasn't been monitored.
And who knows, maybe we'll be paying less than what we were paying before, because it'll be calculated on the actual use, hopefully.
Just a quick question there with the equipment that would be able to detect leaks. Would that information also help us with, we know that our piping systems are old and outdated and causing us lots of problems and need to be updated, but that also falls into what streets we're able to pave because we're trying to get the piping and everything down below to look better before we put the money into fixing up the road and then don't want to be in this situation.
Yeah, no.
Would it help us
doesn't,
to?
It doesn't let us project when breaks could occur. It's really
It doesn't
remedial.
check the equipment.
No, it doesn't check
Okay.
the pipes. What it does is it allows us to hear the leak,
Okay.
basically.
Okay.
Know where it is.
And then, through a process of elimination or deduction, you get to the place where, we think it's, this line and it's 22 meters from this point, sort of thing. So, but it is all remedial. It is not.
So it's
doesn't
soap on a
it
tube
isn't
with a
is
hole
not
in it.
diagnostic in any way.
You don't have to dig up the whole town to find where the leak is.
Right? It's soap with a
those
on a
rods.
tube with a hole in it. You're just looking for the bubble. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. The other thing, speaking of leak detections and that, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the new meters, going back to the new meters just for a sec, they have the capability of doing that as well, correct?
Well-
So that if I have a leak at home that I'm not noticing myself, it'll show up
Yes.
through these new meters.
Yeah, it's fabulous technology. So I'll just remind everybody that, currently we spend about 60 man or person days a year just reading people's meters. We'll be able to do that now in under 4 days in a year. So a huge labor saving. We will be able to tell people, we'll be able to print out, somebody says, I've got a problem, they come in and say, my bill's too high. We will be able to tell them in 15-minute increments, back 93 days, we'll be able to show them the exact amount of water going through their system. So we'll be able to help people diagnose where that leak might be. It will tell us if somebody cuts into the water system before the meters, because it'll actually run backwards. And so it is a fabulous piece of technology that is going to make, I think, everybody's lives better. And, just not to put too fine a point on it, but for at least a decade or more, Westville's been giving away between 40 and 60% of the water we buy from New Glasgow. So, some people and some businesses could be shocked by the fact that their cost of water is going to go up. But it's because the old meters weren't registering accurately. And so we've been giving away for all those years, and those are all costs that every resident in Westville ultimately has to pay.
Right.
So this is going to be a much fairer system for everybody. It'll be much more accurate, and we will be able to, once staff are more expert at looking at the database, we'll be able to set parameters to have little alarms, as it were, set to say, 123 Oak Street seems to be using more water than they usually do. And we can make a call or have somebody turn up and knock on the door and say, like, might you have a leak somewhere? Because we're noticing, so we don't have anything that even approaches that kind of sensitivity right now. We're just barely able to pull together bills. And this will be a fundamental, we're really jumping out of the 1980s into the 21st century.
Yeah, this is a tremendous shift in the capability of the meter. It's more, so I just wanted to add that because I know we didn't mention that before. It's a totally different system and can do remarkable things beyond just metering the water. So it's an asset for people to have. It'll be able to detect, we'll be able to detect downstairs when a family, some of their children grow into teenagers. And the water consumption will go up dramatically.
Showers go from
Because
5
It actually will be
minutes to
showering,
55 minutes.
they'll be showering, 3 times a day without being asked to shower. So, yeah, those things will change. Now, the next one, then, the last one, is the MCGP program scope change.
Right.
Don't I love acronyms? 'Cause
Yeah,
I have
so
no idea
again,
what that
this
means.
is another provincial grant program. MCGP stands for Municipal Capital Growth Program. And
I
it
like the
is.
growth word.
Yeah, it's money that is made available to municipalities to help with infrastructure development. In particular, that is focused on or is facilitative of new dwellings.
Right.
Back over a year ago, I came to council, the previous council, with a proposal to partner with a private developer in town and the Pictou County Partnership for some money to drive a development in town. We submitted that application to the provincial government. They reviewed it, they approved it, and they sent us a check for $450,000. And then it took about 8 or 9 months from the time we applied to the time when we, Westville and its partners were able to redo the costs. So we looked at what the costs were to put in a meter of infrastructure, municipal infrastructure, as we built the application. So that's roads, water lines, and sewer lines. And at the time of application, the cost per meter was about $2,500 per meter. 9 months later, we went back to the same contractors or whatever to ask, well, okay, we're now ready to do this. The cost had jumped to $5,000 per meter. So a doubling of the costs, and that knocked the private sector partner out of the mix. And when they got knocked out of the mix, the town got knocked out of the mix.
But we still have the money.
But we still had the money. And so what I've done is I've proposed, and I think I sent around to all of council, I proposed a repurposing of the fund to the province. The indication from them, of course, this is at the bureaucratic level, is that they're willing, they see it as valuable, and they're willing to take it forward to their minister for approval. And so I have a resolution, I guess, in front of each of you that suggests that we should repurpose that money, some of it, about half of it-ish, repurposed to pay for water meters, which will have the effect of reducing the amount of money we have to borrow to pay for the water meter project by about 1/3. And then the balance of the money to be used for, or at least I've proposed, to be used to do 2 things. One, extend the sidewalk along Cowan Street from Porter's Lane to Whitman, which we couldn't afford to do when we did Cowan Street, you know, was it last year or the year before? Whenever it was.
Both years.
Both years, yeah,
Carried over
right.
2 years.
Yeah, and that will set up the possibility of kind of circular walking routes in that part of town. And then the other is, as people know, there are 24 units of rental housing going on Acadia Avenue, and there is no sidewalk there. This is Westville. The chances of a significant proportion of those units on those 24 units being filled with people who are in the senior age
The
cohort
aged people.
is pretty high, and I fear a little bit having them walking down down the middle of Acadia Road, because it is a bit of a thoroughfare from Stellarton, right? It's, you know, if you don't want to go around the
There's
top,
always people walking on it.
you come underneath there. So there is, our engineer tells us there is room on Acadia in the right-of-way to, on one side, put in sidewalk. We'll have to put in some storm sewer infrastructure, so it's pretty expensive, but it's about half a kilometer there and about half a kilometer on Cowan Street. And that would get us into the place where we're spending, we're using that money for the water meters. Our portion will come out of borrowing, which was going to do anyway. So it's, you know, we're
Some
getting
borrowing
some
a lot
savings.
less. Yeah,
We're
borrowing
borrowing
a
a
lot
lot
less,
less.
yeah.
We have to come up with 50% of the money for the sidewalks, and my recommendation is that we earmark, you know, a portion of the, every year we get the, what we know is the gas tax money. Forget what it's called, Canadian Community Building Fund or something like that. Use a bit of, earmarks a bit of that money to pay for our that anyway. And traditionally what we do is we use that gas tax money to do both roads and sidewalks. And so by getting 50%, we're kind of, you know, paying into the future. We're going to spend a little bit of money on sidewalks, but we're going to get double what we would otherwise get. So that's the proposal, and I've got a resolution. If you want me to read it, I'm happy to do that.
You may do so.
So whereas Town of Westville has developed a MCGP proposal in March 2024 in partnership with a private developer and Pictou County Partnership to fund the installation of municipal infrastructure to support housing development, and whereas the province reviewed, approved the project and awarded for Westville $450,000, and whereas the infrastructure costs escalated significantly between the time Westville and its partners applied to MCGP and the time the project could be started, which resulted in the private sector partner declining to proceed with the project, and whereas staff have retooled the proposal to request approval to proceed with using MCGP funds to help with the renewal of water meters in the community and the installation of sidewalks to help encourage development. Therefore, be it resolved that Westville Town Council endorses staff submitting a proposal to change the scope of MCGP, the MCGP project to develop with the renewal of water meters in the community and the installation of sidewalks to help encourage development. And be it further resolved that the council approve the use of Canada Community Building Fund gas tax money to pay for the municipal portion of the proposed sidewalk installations.
Do we have a mover?
I will move.
You have a seconder?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Are you ready for the question, or if you have any questions?
Yes, I have questions.
Yep, go.
Yeah,
Go
I'd like, I would just like to know that this resolution simply is giving permission to use the money in a different way, and we haven't been specific how that money's going to be used.
The exact dollar breakdown.
Right, okay, so
Correct,
it's going to be.
We don't have that.
Right, so it'll be the water meters and sidewalk installations.
Yeah,
Okay.
and, you know, there is an exact breakdown, it just didn't make sense to put in.
Okay.
dollars.
The
Because
numbers
it's a scope, it's a universal issue.
Right.
The CAO knows that the numbers will add up to the
Right.
to use the 450,
yeah.
dividing them up this way with the water meter, portion of the
And
water
I've
meter.
shared that with the province, and they are good with it.
Okay.
At the bureaucratic level.
Sure.
right?
I
It has
guess
to go
if
to
I'm
the
going to
next
voice what I've been hearing, is the Acadia sidewalk, I'm on board, bringing it out to North Main. I have had quite a few people say to me, why is all the work happening on Cowan? And I've been trying to explain that, I mean, it's been staggered work, but there are a few people who have voiced an opinion that what we seem to be doing seems to be focused on Cowan. So I'm just worried that we're taking this money that was for something else and going, okay, Cowan, we're going to give you that next stretch of sidewalk.
Yeah, and I think what this does is set up, when we do get our Canada Community Building Fund allocation, we'll be able to earmark more for other
Other
areas now,
areas.
because we finished Cowan finally.
Yeah, I understand finishing it. I do see there's going to be maybe a little bit of pushback
Yeah.
if that's where that money is spent,
So
yeah.
it is important to remember that that was initially part of the project that we
Yeah.
wanted to do. When
And you
when
didn't
we
have enough
envisioned
money,
the
yeah.
Cowan Street project, it was the infrastructure, it was the paving the street, and it was the sidewalks extending to Whitman. We just didn't have enough funds to do it. So that's a continuation. So this is an opportunity. And that is a very highly pedestrian traveled area.
Very
And
traveled area.
I guarantee it will increase if there's sidewalks there. And it's a part of our active transportation, a good part of our active transportation routes envisioned by the town as well.
And it's a bit of a high-risk area, because there are, those
Tons of
honking
traffic.
big logging trucks rolling down.
Oh.
Yeah.
Down
Yeah.
We've
there,
been-
and
yeah.
that is. and
There's
they-
no
and-
sidewalks.
And there's no sidewalks.
Yeah.
We've been very lucky.
So this, I think, hopefully the combination, people can understand the combination of finishing an unfinished project, providing safety on a very highly utilized area, giving separation between pedestrians and logging trucks is a good
It'll
thing.
create a great,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I
it'll
think
create a
that-
great active transportation route around, back to Main Street, on North Main Street. It's an easy, it's a great walking area, no question about it. It'll create that in a safe way. So, yeah, but I do know, it's one of those things that, this is one of the things about being on council. You have to make those hard decisions about the choices. And I say it repeatedly, any street in town, any sidewalk in town, we could look at and say, we need to redo it, or it needs to be done. So
And
it's
I
it
understand, I
comes
just
down
thought that
to choice.
extra little bit of information
Right.
is going to go a long way from what
Right.
I've been
No,
hearing.
very,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah.
Councilor McGregor?
Yeah, just a couple questions, I guess, on this, or points. So I understand there's a box around this money, like we committed to doing X, can't do X in the time frame. So, we're looking at doing this. And I understand there's a deadline. This money has to get spent as well, otherwise it vaporizes and goes back to the province. So would it be fair to say, using this money for, let's say, a water project on North Street that we've, talked about, it just wouldn't be realistic because of the timing for the engineering and
Right.
things like that? I'm just trying to wrap my head around.
Yeah.
So,
Driving
that's
new infrastructure.
that's a really good example, I guess. North Street conservatively will be, north of $5 million to fix North Street. This money needs to be
Yeah.
spent by March 31st, or at least planned to be spent
Right.
within X months of March 31st, 2025. So we can't keep that money for 10 years
Right.
while we save up the $5 million to do North Street all at once.
Right.
So it is boxed. It has to be used for certain things. Doing North Street would absolutely be
Yeah.
legitimate. It's just insufficient money
And time.
and insufficient time to make it sensible, and we can't save it.
Right.
We need to be able to document that we've used it for the purpose within the years that it's allowed to be used. So we don't, these were, I think on the water meters, it's kind of a no-brainer to, you know, if we can reduce by a third the amount of money we have to purchase or buy or borrow to.
And the interest rate on top of that.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's a huge benefit.
Yeah.
And then, and that was only, you know, we're limited by the calculation of how much we could do and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, it all works out so that we spend all $450,000. They all go to capital projects that are you know, are legitimate from the provincial government's perspective and drive. You know, I think it's pretty important to, you know, one, keep residents safe. Two, you know, so both of those sidewalk projects do that. And, you know, I think having more sidewalks in town will encourage active transportation, so walking and cycling and those sorts of things.
Just a comment, I would say that it goes along very well, doing the sidewalk down on Acadia, where those 24 new units are going in, where the money was initially allotted for capital growth programs and looking at like bettering our community in that way. I think that's an excellent
and it
tie-in.
may set up-
And it needed to be done for the people that have been there for
Oh, yeah,
many
yeah.
years.
Quite
Right.
aside from the.
Right,
24,
quite aside
yes.
from the new, but with this particular grant and the funding where, what it was
And it may set
for,
up the
makes
potential
sense.
for additional
More
development further along
Yeah.
Acadia Avenue, which is, you know, completely undeveloped. We've got very expensive sewer lines and water lines and road work there, and nobody but deer living on it, right?
Right.
So
The
this
deer
sets
are
up at
enjoying
least
it,
the
yes.
possibility for that to start to occur and may encourage other developers to step forward and do something along
Yeah,
that.
this makes sense to me.
Oh,
Was-
And the other point is, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, was one of the other boxes around it that it had to be new infrastructure driven, or could this have been used for rehabilitation of existing infrastructure?
The preference is for new and to
Drive
help
development,
drive
housing
Yeah,
development,
I
right?
understand that to be the theme and the concept.
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's, and that's, you know, that's the argument I used with the bureaucrats in the province was, you know, without new water meters, Westville's water utility in a period of time is not going to be viable. You can't continue to give away 40 to 60% of the water you buy for free and expect that, you know, you can keep a water utility working. The fact that we've made it this far is kind of a miracle to
Yeah.
me, almost, right? So we need to address that, and this helps do that. And, yeah, so that'll, you know, that's, without water, there is no development, right?
100%.
And there is no Westville without water. So we need to get to a place where our water utility is viable and we've got enough water to allow for future development.
And on the sidewalk one, every one that we do, every project that we're able to complete and have the money to do, it just moves the other ones up the
ladder
pecking order
faster.
faster, that we'll be able to do them. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's similar to streets, you know, once we're able to do one or two, then it moves those other ones up on the list as well. So, you know, it's a good thing that we have this money available to us.
It makes
I guess
sense.
my final comment would be, I know we're under the gun for time with this. It's kind of two parts, and it's not a slight on anybody, but I think it would be nice to convene an asset management committee meeting at some point in the future. We haven't had one since this new council was sworn in.
Right.
And I think this would probably be something that, you know, we could discuss, not necessarily
Very
this
good.
one, but if they do come forward, that we can,
Yep.
you know, more holistically kind of talk about it.
Right.
Not disagreeing that this is the right project, I'm just saying it
Yeah.
would be nice to,
Makes
nice to
sense.
chat.
Good point again, absolutely. So we have a motion on the floor. Are you ready for the question?
Question?
Questions called. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. So you'll now be able to report to the province that it was brought to council and.
Yeah,
has
this
approval,
is this is the final piece in
Missing-
the application.
missing link.
So they want this, and they want, you know, they want confirmation that,
Right.
two things: confirmation that council is supportive, that it's not just the dream of some crazy CAO
Bureaucrat.
somewhere,
Yeah,
and that we've got the money to do it. So
Right.
that's why the
Gas
second part of the resolution.
okay, so that concludes that portion of the agenda. The next item on the agenda is our public engagement, the delegations. Anyone present that wishes to come before and speak? I wonder if we could use one of the mics down there, Councilman Gregory. We need to, Mike, so the protocol, as you're aware, probably, come to the mic, state your name and your address, and direct your comment or question.
Yes, I'd like to address the Majesty and the Council. My name is Jim Swain. I'd like to thank the both of you gentlemen who helped me on my water bill the last time. And I'm a little bit concerned on the water meters. I know they tell me now, I don't know for sure because that's not my field, but I understand they can just drive along and take the reading of, that sounds like me, it would save a lot of time and labor, a lot of money. I'm kind of wondering, through that overhead, once that meters are paid, will our water bills possibly come down a bit?
I'll let the CEO address that one.
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that, because, you know, your water bill is made up of a number of things, one of them being the labor that goes into reading the meters, but also the purchase of water, and then, you know, the work that goes into finding leaks and fixing leaks and all that sort of stuff. It's definitely one of the components that if you don't do it, you're definitely not going to be able to reduce water rates. If you do it and you become a highly efficient water system, then you do spend less, and there's the potential for that. You know, North American water systems are generally about 60% efficient. There are water systems in the world. Israel is the one that always tops the list. They're at about 93% efficient. So they actually take sewage water and pass it through a very sophisticated system and turn it back into drinking water.
So there is a possibility.
So there's a possibility, but
Always
it
a
requires, it requires a lot of work, and that's why, I think we mentioned under the GRID program that one of the things we were hoping to buy is leak detection equipment,
Now,
so that
I
we
have-
can catch those leaks
I have one more
earlier.
concern. I've been to beautification, especially my own home property. I like flowers, and I've been taking, the only two of us there, and I think we use the less water of anybody like in Westville. We're taking our water in from Green Hill. Now, when it comes to water, flowers, gardens, and all that, do you think any way possible you could do a printout, maybe how much a gallon would cost to use extra water from a hose?
I guess we might be able to, once we've got all the data in. I'm confused when you say extra water, because.
Say if I wanted to fill a barrel.
Water for use for watering gardens.
Yeah, well, so
like
whether you're using it to drink, shower, or water the garden, you're paying the same rate for all water.
You can't come out with so much a gallon or so much of anything? You
Yeah,
can't come-
we can
I will
tell
thank the
you.
council, I'll be looking here for that
we can-
figure.
It's on
We can tell
consumption.
you, yeah, it's based on consumption, so we can tell you what it costs.
Thank you.
The meters are very smart, but I don't think they can tell if you're using the water to water your garden or shower. I don't think that distinction's available, but it certainly is gonna,
Yeah, I think he wants more affordable water from a hose.
right.
But we do have
Right.
the fixed cost of what it is per, I don't know if it's cubic meter or how we measure
Right.
it, but it is, like, the rate is there.
Right.
And it's just a math conversion to figure out how much per gallon it is.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and-
There's a
and-
base rate.
And there is then
And I don't know what it
there's
is.
the base cost of about $60 a month-ish.
Right.
That goes in, which is just, it's a base rate, and then it's consumption on top of that.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Anyone else, anything else before we adjourn? Give that man a boost there. There we go, okay.
So kick him out of his chair.
Too low. Gordon McIntosh, Church Street, that's it, like you didn't know. No, anyway, at my sister's house, they came to put her meter in, and they said there's no shut off. They have to get town and shut the water off.
Yes.
How would you get the installer and town works at the same place at the same time?
We will be able to do that.
Was it?
It has,
Yeah.
there's been several of those that I'm aware of,
Is it?
where there's been no shut off inside the house,
'Cause
surprisingly to me,
She
but,
was thinking that they would make arrangements with the town
Yeah, the contractor will reach out
They do.
and they will, she doesn't have to do that herself.
No.
She just has to pick a day and a time, and then the contractor will get in touch with us and we'll coordinate that. She doesn't have to worry about it. That's
And-
not her job.
How would you get a hold of the contractor?
There's a 1-800 number, which I don't remember right at the moment, but I can.
I'll check
if
with
she
Kirsten
calls,
tomorrow.
if she calls the town office
Yeah.
tomorrow, we will be able to give her
someone
the
to call.
1-800 number, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and that's been, it's a good point, Gordy, because I know of several places that did not have a shut-off inside the house, and so they had to, yeah, I know, so they have to turn them off outside. Anything else anyone has? We have a great gallery here tonight of citizens. Fantastic to see.
Dave Dignan, North Main Street. Just curious if, I was looking through the thing here, is there no update on the LTC,
On the what, sorry?
long-term care?
Oh, yes. Not that I would hope to want to be able to give, other than the fact that we're still being told that it's going to be coming soon, the request for proposals. I mean, it's going to happen, let's put it this way. So let's start there. The announcement was made in November of 2023 by the Premier that the long-term care facility was coming to Westville. My information is that that's still the case. That what needs to happen next is the province has to put out a request for proposals to find who's going to operate that and build the facility. We as a town, and I as your mayor, have signed several letters that have gone to the minister and the Premier over the past year and a half, asking for an update, employing them to please get the request out. Because the other thing that's happening, and we didn't mention much about it tonight, but the renovations that are going to be happening at the school building, the existing, the previous school, are getting near to the point where actual work will begin because they've applied for the development agreement. And so we're just working out the details of the development agreement. Once that goes through its natural process and signed, they're ready to go to start construction there.
Well, that's what I was getting at, is that it's spring's coming,
Yeah.
it's building season.
Right.
So I don't know when the last time the council has said to our MLA, what's going on?
Yeah.
When's the announcement coming? Another time, I don't know if it's been months,
Yeah.
if it's time to have a walk down the hall and talk with them and say, let's go, spring's here, make your announcement, like,
Might not be a bad thing for
You know?
residents to
and that.
call.
Residents as
And
well.
that's the other one, do you want, like, maybe that should be put out on your thing?
Residents
say,
as well.
Yes, please
Residents
call.
talk to
I
MLAs.
can answer your question. When was the last time? The last time was, if I looked in my calendar, I'd probably be able to tell you more accurately, but I'm going to say 3 weeks ago, face-to-face with the Premier, and asked, in fact, no, I won't get into that. I won't tell you all the details, some things I should, but other than the fact that we had the conversation, I asked when the request was going to be coming, and he assured me that it's coming relatively soon. And that's what I hear from the minister as well. Their soon and my soon are not the same. But it'll be an exciting day when the announcement finally comes that they put out the proposal and we know who it is. Because here's the thing we're passing on to the province, the Premier and the minister, is the fact that we know that the renovations are going to be happening at the school. It's on the same campus. It's going to be on the same lot, 21-acre lot. And it'd be so much better and easier to be able to collaborate between the two developer of the long-term care and the cooperative council who are going to be doing the school, to be able to get together and work out the details of the land there, access to it, parking, all those things that are going to be in common, really, with the two facilities. And to have the work going on at the same time would be fantastic. It would create less long-term, construction in that area of town, and it'd just be a whole lot easier to coordinate. So that's the message that we're trying to get through to the province. That was the last message that I put in the letter to the minister, trying to explain why we're anxious to get this announcement out. And all we can do is wait. Unfortunately, we're at their mercy as far as when they do that. My understanding is that it's been through Treasury Board, so what that means is that the province went and said, here's the detail on here's the money we need for the project in Westville for the long-term care, and apparently it was approved by Treasury. That was several months ago, as my understanding is. So I was hoping when the budget came out last week that would be the final straw, that they put the announcement out, but I haven't seen it yet. Now, having said that, there's no need for them to contact the town or contact me as the mayor to say we're putting out the request. They just need to do it, right? And we'll find out eventually. So we'll keep plugging away at that. And I don't, the CAO mentioned, and nothing to say that citizens can't inquire of the local MLA's office as to what's going on with it.
They hear the mayor's voice frequently.
Yeah.
Hearing other voices might be a good thing.
Sometimes it's like, you get tired of hearing the same voice, right? Or getting the same letter. So,
And it's nice to remind Mr. Houston that he's our MLA, so give him a call sometimes.
Right, yeah. Anything else? Okay, hearing none, just a reminder that the Recreation Committee will be meeting on March the 3rd in the Westville Library Community Room. Neighborhood Watch is on March the 6th here in, is that correct? No. No, that's not correct. That's at the police, at the boardroom at the police office next door. Board of Police Commissioners will be meeting on the 18th. Planning Advisory on the 19th. Accessibility Committee on the 20th. And Committee of the Whole will be on the 24th. And our next council meeting will be on the 31st at the end of the month. So all those meetings are open to citizens to appear and participate in and take in. So we encourage you to do that. Hearing none, we don't have an in-camera, I do not believe. No need for an in-camera. Coming to the end of the business meeting, I declare the meeting, sorry, did we have a? Sorry.
Oh, no, I just had a question about public
just bought my
engagement.
gavel.
Yeah, no, public engagement. I was just wondering if Clary McKinnon was not feeling well and why you weren't at the podium this evening. Yeah,
I was looking at the clock and thinking, boy, we're going to be in here in a decent
I know.
time. And you had to do that, didn't you? Yeah, don't wind him up.
all right.
He's happy with everything tonight.
Move to adjourn, move to
All
adjourn.
right, so no further business. I declare the meeting adjourned.